Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome along to the SFC interviews. This is Mike Hahnemann here with Tyrone Sealey today. One of the ones that's kind of gone a little bit under the radar at the club, considering you were there for a little while. I think you had a couple of sub appearances in the senior side, but obviously you started out at the youth team as well. So, how old were you when you joined up with the youth?
I would have been 15. So funny enough, when I first joined, I was doing work experience. So I would have been about 15.
Oh, so you're actually on work experience at the club?
No. I was on work experience, and then that's when I got like the call to go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I was at 15.
Hi. Just got another message there in the chat from Solomon Barry as well. That streams later, mate. But anyway, we'll move on. But yeah, so tell us a little bit about your journey. Obviously, you started out at 15 in the youth setup there. How did you find that? In the kind of youth setup, and then sort of working your way into contention in the senior squad as well.
Yeah. So like I said, I remember just being at work experience, and one of the the agents at the time, like around my area, who works like a lot of like the young players in like the South London area. He's a good friend of mine, so he just came in. He's like, "Oh, what are you doing now? This, that, the other." And I was like, "I'm probably going to end up going into Sunday League, trying my shot there because I didn't have any like serious clubs at that time."
Yeah.
So when he came in and he said it, it was like, "Okay, I'm going to grab it with both hands." And then I went up there. It was like an open trial. There was a few players there, but probably about 20. I went there, did a couple drills. Literally, I did a couple drills. We had a small-sided game. They pulled me out of the trial, and they were like, "Listen, like we've seen enough," sort of thing.
Yeah, you're in. We'll sign you up. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So it was, and it just kind of just skyrocketed from there. Did 2 years in the youth. Had a few sort of youth cup runs. It was a good time. And then thankfully, just after my 17th birthday, we signed the pro. So yeah, I kind of realized all my dreams. To be fair, like, okay, respectfully, see, Stevenage, it's not the biggest club, but for me at the time, that young kid, that sort of coming out from where I come from at the age of 15, to then be offered like a professional deal, it's all I ever wanted was to just play football professionally. Do you know what I mean? So to be able to wake up, go in and train, like there was nothing else I wanted to do at the time, to be honest. So it was a good experience, man.
And who was it that was coaching you through the youth team then? Was there anyone there? Obviously in the seniors there was Mark Stimson was the manager of the seniors at the time.
Yeah.
Who was it that was your sort of main coach and your manager in the youth setup?
Yeah, it's Tyrone Sealey. It brings a smile to my face. I'm just thinking of all the memories. But yeah, it's Tyrone Sealey. Like he was like just a guy, really. He coached me from 15 all the way up to the seniors. So he was like, yeah, he was the guy who kind of just developed me through, really.
And of course, Darren's gone on and he's now at Yeovil as well, and he's
Yeah.
doing all right for them. Got them to the playoffs last season in the conference, didn't they? And they were a bit unfortunate there.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing well. And to be fair, I think like if you ask any of the boys from my team at the time, we always knew he was going to stay in football. Do you know what I mean? Even when he got like a couple of the gigs at Stevenage himself, it's just a proud moment for him, I can imagine. But yeah, I'm sure he'll continue to do well in his career. So.
And then Mark obviously put you up into the seniors. You had a couple of sub appearances in that year, and you were on the bench a few other times as well, but not actually getting on.
Yeah.
What was it like the first time that you got that call from Stimo when you saw your name on the board that you were going to be involved in one of the senior squads?
Yeah. So I remember the first time we had a game. I think it was Forest Green I think it was the FA Cup. I remember the Friday night, I was at home, just sort of chilling out, really. He said I'll be in the squad. And at them times, it was like he was either getting in the squad or the squad meant you're just traveling. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're just traveling, like just come in sort of thing. And then he called me. It was about maybe 8 in the evening. He was like, "Listen, you're gonna play tomorrow. Like you're gonna come on, sort of thing."
Yeah.
So you can imagine you've gone from chilling out at home as like a 17-year-old or whatever, just enjoying your time,
Mm.
sort of being a full-time footballer, and then you get the call from the manager saying you're going to be coming on. So your whole dynamic changes. Like you prepare different
Yeah,
because you
for
know you're
sure.
gonna. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, it was exciting. It was exciting, and then yeah, I came on, had a run around basically, and enjoyed myself. That was it. That was it. But it was a good experience. It was a good experience.
And that was a victory, wasn't it? That was I think that was a 4-1 win as well, was
Yeah,
it?
yeah, 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 yeah,
Couple of
yeah.
goals for Steve Morrison and George Boyd as well. So what was it like sort of training with those guys in the seniors? Obviously, Boydie, Morrow, Jason Goodliff, Ronnie Henry, who else was there at
Yeah,
that point? There were some big names at that point anyway.
yeah, real legends. And this is what I was saying to you, like sort of before. I was quite fortunate to be at the club when the legends were still there.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I mean, to break into that squad, you can imagine it wasn't easy. So to be given that opportunity from so young was amazing. But I remember I've got vivid memories of going into training and just like rubbing shoulders with the likes of George Boyd, like Steve Morrison, just to see how these professionals conducted themselves. Um, Adam Miller, like you say,
Yeah.
Jason Goodliff, Ronnie Henry, like these, and to be fair to these guys, like I was like young,
Mhm.
and they really did like develop me quick. They turned me into a man really, really quick. But to go back to training, like just seeing George Boyd stands out, like he just did ridiculous things in training. You thought, wow, he's gonna go on to do some crazy things in the game, 100%.
And you could see that quite early on. That it was
Oh
evident quite
yeah,
early on that he would. Yeah.
yeah. It was like he would do things in training where he would be moving. It was like training would be so fast.
Mm.
Like especially as a young lad coming into senior football, like it always the pace changes and the ball would be getting zipped around so fast, and then Boydie would get on it and things would just slow down, and it was like no one could get the ball off him. It was weird. It was like he would glide through players, and you just think how is he staying on the ball? Like it was his touch, like his awareness. He just knew where he was. Like he was different class, man.
And then, so we spoke a little bit about going up to the seniors there and playing with those guys. What was it like? That was your sort of first day, or your first game coming off the bench. But the first time you were actually in training with the seniors as well. Who was the kind of main guys that sort of took you under their wing?
Adam Miller, John Nurse. Um, yeah, I'd say them two predominantly. Adam Miller and John Nurse, because that John Nurse was obviously from London anyway,
Yeah.
so we had that connection. And Adam Miller, I think he just seen. Got a story for you actually. So I think that pre-season we had was doing running. We had the
Hmm.
craziest fitness coach at the time. He was like someone from the army. It was like intense training, and
Mm.
I seen him, and he was just like topping the bar on all the tests, like running, strength. So to me, it was like, okay, that's my benchmark. Then
Yeah.
if I can be as fit as him, I'll stand a good chance, sort of thing.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I remember just trying to compete with him every single day, and I think I just earned his respect that way because he's seen that, okay, this young lad's come in and he's actually keeping up with me.
Mm.
And there was one time where we was doing running. I think it was a 12-minute run, and I thought I'm gonna stick with Millsy. I'm
Yeah.
sticking with him, and it must have got to like maybe the 8th minute, and
Hmm.
he took off, and my body just wouldn't like let
Yeah.
me. He wouldn't,
Couldn't keep
yeah,
up. Yeah. Yeah.
he wouldn't let
Uh-huh.
me keep up. But that's when I knew, yeah, okay, like I'm decent because I'm ahead of the pack here. But Millsy was just different. He was just different with it. Very, very fit. So yeah, it was a good experience. But those guys, like I still like speak to sort of Adam to this
Mm.
day. If I need
Has he,
advice or
has he
whatever.
has he sold you any cars yet?
No, 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 not yet, not yet.
We've got a message there from Russ, a question there. Did you always play in midfield or did you start out in another position and then move across?
So in the youth team, I started off as a striker,
Hmm.
and then to the back end of my time in the youth team, just getting into the seniors, like when I was playing for the reserves,
Yeah.
I was more like a winger, like a forward. So I went from like a 9, and then I became like a 7 or an 11, basically. So like any wing.
Okay. All right. So what we got on here next? Yeah. So when you were there, you were there alongside Daryl McMahon and Mark Mosley as well.
Yeah,
Who've gone on into
yeah,
management.
yeah, yeah.
There are other ones that have gone into management now.
Hmm.
And of course, Mark's at Southend. Darryl was predominantly like Macclesfield and Ebbsfleet and places like that, wasn't he? And
Yeah,
of course,
yeah,
you played for Ebbsfleet, didn't you? If I remember rightly as well when you left.
yeah. I did, yeah. So again, I just got again my phone rang. Got a phone call to come down. I went in, and again after a couple of sessions, I'm trying to think of the manager's name now. Yeah, pardon me, I forgot. I can't
So
remember his name, but yeah. But
yeah.
he brought me in and pretty much just signed for him straight away. But that was a good experience as well, because that was obviously senior level, a good standing. We had some good players down there as well. So I enjoyed my time there, to be honest.
And did you always sort of think that the likes of Mark and Darryl would actually go on and get into coaching?
Yeah, so Darryl McMahon, he will be the first to tell you, I'm sure. Like he didn't shut up in training. Like you'd hear him like more than anyone in training. So
Yeah.
you could tell like he had like the manager in him. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
again, he's another one. Like when I've seen him sort of go into management, and he seems so natural in that role, it doesn't surprise me because of how he was as a player. He always wanted to help. He was always coaching. He was very passionate as well. He hated losing. He hated losing. Like the training games and that. Yeah, he couldn't stand losing. So yeah, I can see why he's got that winning mentality.
Okay. So of course, you played under Mark Stimpson there, and then the second season you played. I think you made one sub appearance in that season as well, and that was when Peter Taylor was there. Is that right?
Yeah, Peter Taylor come in. I remember when Stimo left. Actually, he had us all sat down in like the gym.
Yeah.
And he sort of broke the news, and we didn't have any idea he was coming in. I think there was a few whispers. All the boys were around, and Sky Sports News was on at the time.
Yeah.
And literally, as it came up on the yellow bar, he walked in. He was like, "Whoa, that was quick."
Yeah.
So he was good. Obviously, I think the boys were genuinely excited though because of his pedigree and where he'd been. So when you've got a manager like that, who's respected in the game, who's managed at a high level, who's had a long career in the game, you want to take as many gems from that person as you can. So yeah, it was good working with him as well.
And even more so for guys like you who were still young at that point. You were only like 17, 18?
So when Peter Taylor came in, that was like near the end of my time at the club. So I would have been around 20, just before my 21st. Yeah, just before my 21st.
So that's still a relatively young player though.
Oh yeah, 100%. And this was it. And I think he understood that. I featured more like in terms of, around the club, like obviously training, obviously reserves and stuff, because at the time the connection between the youth team and the seniors, there was a big gap. I mean, I think it's better now, see, with the stability of the club and so on. But at the time, the club had such a vision to get to the next level.
Yeah,
there was such a gap with the development, which, like I say, I think now it is better, and that's good for young players now. But in my time when I was there, the gap was so big. So to get to the seniors was like a big deal.
And there's quite a lot of players, you said about it there, the gap that they used to be, but now Ben Wilmot broke into the team and then got a good move going across to what was it? He went to Watford originally, was it? And then he's been on loan in Italy and played a few championship games for Swansea and things like that as well. So they're all players that have moved on to greater things and play at higher levels.
This is good, and that's what it's about. It's good that the club are producing young players, and they're also giving them a chance, because that's what you want. Young players, they're really hungry and they want to do well. I mean, so if you can find the time and space to actually develop them, it's only going to benefit both sides of the party. Do you know what I mean?
That's right. And then of course Ben Wilmot, his dad used to play for the club years and years ago, back in the 90s. A little bit like Corey as well, actually, with Mark Smith, of course, relatives that used to play. And you said there, when we were talking last night, you said that Corey was one of the guys that you actually played with coming through, and sort of what would he like to kind of play alongside as well. And he's gone on a pretty decent career so far, and I'm sure he'll probably only go up the ladder and move his way, into the Premier League and things like that in the near future.
Yeah, 100%. Corey was a good lad. When I first signed, he was in the year below me. But we'd always train around the same time. So when they were finishing, we would always start. And
Yeah.
sometimes we'd try and keep like a couple of the boys back from the team below. So there was Zach Burke, there was, like you say, Corey Smith, and they were like the two sort of shining lights. So they would train with us, and you could see the quality in him from early on. I mean, he was very fit, had a great touch, good energy, got
Yeah.
about, like he just knew the game at such a young age. He knew how to play the game at a mature level. So when he went on to Norwich, again, there was no surprise that he was going to kick on. And now he's having a great career at Bristol City. He's the captain there. He's doing really well. So I wish him all the best in his career, 100%.
I was having a look. Has he not moved on? Did he not move on to Swansea?
Did he move to Swansea? Did he?
I think he might have
I'm
just
not.
moved in the last couple of months, like in August sort of time. I
Ah,
think
right. I
yeah.
didn't know. I've not kept tabs on him like that. Last time I checked, he was a skipper for City. So, but if he's gone Swansea now, that doesn't surprise me. Another massive club, you know. I'm saying, so I'm sure he'll do well, and obviously kick on from there. You know, hopefully he can get to a higher level. That'd be great for him.
That's right. Yeah, I'm sure he will. I'm sure he'll move on and just kind of progress through the footballing ladder. So how grateful, were you to the likes of Mark Stimpson for giving you that breakthrough and giving you the opportunity to actually, work day to day with some of those names that we mentioned already earlier?
Yeah. Again, I mean, to be honest, this is what I say to everyone when I talk about my time there. Like, a lot of it is just more me being grateful
Yeah,
for the opportunity, because, like I say, then the gap was so big for you to get into the seniors. It was, you felt like it was uphill for ages.
mm.
So when it finally did come, it was all about just working hard and just trying to grab the opportunity with both hands. Um, he had a lot of time for me, to be honest. He always spoke to me, always got his arm around me, um, always sort of taught me little things that I can improve in my game. But again, I think where the club was at that time, the main goal was to get, the league status.
Yeah,
So so the focus was that, and you've just got to sort of take yourself out of the situation sometimes and go, okay, that's where the club want to go. They're going to do anything by any means.
hmm
They've got the quality, they've got the players to do it.
yeah.
And you have to accept it, really. But again, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to bring me into those players. Like, I've made friends for life, and to be honest, the whole experience, it more than anything, it turned me into a man. Like, it got me prepared for life. I mean, being around the boys and that, because they didn't hold back, as you can imagine.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely. Yeah, I was going to say that as well. You mentioned in regards to getting into the football league, which of course the club weren't able to do at that point, but you
yeah,
did get to the trophy final. So what was it like? Did Mark sort of get you involved a lot in all of the stuff there and going up to Wembley and
yeah, 100%,
even though you
100%.
possibly weren't going to feature, you still got everyone involved. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He was, again. He just kept the team close together. That was his thing, though. He never really secluded the young boys.
Mm.
He never really felt like I wasn't a part. Do you know what I mean? He never made me feel like I wasn't a part of the squad. And the boys never. Do you know what I mean? When the trophy weekend, we went away and we trained. I don't know where it was now. We trained in a hotel. Um, and then we travelled, obviously, the next day to Wembley. Um, and I just remember thinking, "Whoa, like this is a bit surreal." This, because I think
Yeah.
Wembley just opened. The new Wembley
Yeah,
just
the new
opened.
Wembley has only been open. I think they'd only played one game beforehand. That was an under-21 match.
Yeah, so I remember there was a bit of media and press around that whole thing, sort of saying that we'd be the first official game and the first cup game and so on. So to be a part of that, and then to go and win the game how we did, it was amazing. It was an amazing day.
It was a crazy day.
Yeah,
I remember that 88th minute goal when Morrow put it in, and the limbs were pretty much going off. It
yeah,
was mad, mate. It was mental.
yeah, yeah. It was. I remember when that goal went in. I remember we just all sort of leapt off the bench, went crazy, and then the
Yeah,
final whistle went, and we all just ran on.
yeah, yeah,
I had my family in the ground as well, and it was good for them as well to sort of be around Wembley and be a part of history, really.
yeah. It was a great occasion, and it makes it even more special when you win because nobody really remembers the losers, do they?
Unfortunately not. No, unfortunately not.
Richard in the chat there has put, "What are you doing with yourself these days?" And also, just good to see you again as well.
Yeah, so I've got a few things on at the moment, to be honest. I'm mainly sort of working in the financial sector,
Yeah.
and I've done a bit of media here and there.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said, I've got a few things in the pipeline, so I'm sure. Was it Richard? Did you say?
Yeah, Rich. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure you'll see what I've got coming. Can't really speak on it at the moment, but yeah, once it all gets finalized, yeah, be back.
It's something pretty good then. Yeah, something quite.
Yeah. It's exciting. It's exciting. A few projects on under the wrap, so yeah, can't wait to get it going really. But yeah, mainly just like I say, day to day, I'm in the financial sector, so yeah, I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying that.
Okay. Yeah, started crying when Morrow scored that goal.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us did.
Yeah, we nearly did. We yeah, literally. It was a good day. It was a good day. And that's what I mean. That when you look at the club's history, to be a
Mm,
part of that and those moments that the fans will always hold dear to their heart is amazing. And like the fans, Stevenage, they're it's like a family. It's a
yeah.
family club. Like I've got fans there when I started, and they like when I came into the squad, and like they were like young kids coming to the ground.
Yeah,
So now
yeah.
I get messages from them, and they're grown. It's just like whoa. So it's good to see that they're
Well, I'm
still
trying to
following.
work out. You come through in 2000 and what year was it? You came through.
So I think it was 2007.
Yeah, so like I would have only been 20, and I'm like that's 13 years ago. I'm 33 now, so
Yeah, yeah. So you would have remembered them like
yeah,
clearly.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that was. I remember you coming on and featuring in those couple of games, Forest Green, Woking, and the other one was Kidderminster away, wasn't it? So
that was it. Yeah. Good experience. Good experience.
and that you actually played in that game against Woking as well. That was a Setanta Shield or Setanta Cup game or whatever it was. You come off the bench in that one, so. And Ronnie actually scored in that game. That was one of the few goals that Ronnie actually has scored for the club.
Yeah, Ronnie, he chipped in with a few when he could. He chipped in, but great captain, a great example, good player.
He chips in with a few, yeah, like 4 over however many seasons, 20,
Yeah,
15. Whatever.
he'll remember every single one, Ronnie.
I'm sure he will. Yeah, I'm sure he knows all the other ones as well. So, you made your debut. We spoke about that against Forest Green. What was going through your mind at the time? When you're getting warmed up to come on, you just, we were already 4-1 up, I think, at that point anyway. So what's going through your mind? Do you want to just come on and make an impact? And what sort of self-talk did you give yourself as well?
Yeah, I think for any young player, really, they want to make an impact.
Yeah.
And I was no different. And also because I knew I was coming on, I
Mm.
knew I was going to feature. It was
Yeah.
like, okay, like get yourself ready. I just tried to relax myself. You want to make sure you're getting good touches on the ball and so on. And I remember um, there was a period in the play where I got on it, and I think I've slipped Dobbo in, and
Yeah. Yeah.
he's flashed it across the face, but no one got
Mhm.
onto the end of it. And it was just like you want to get comfortable in the game. I know there wasn't that much time, but with saying that, because you haven't got that much time, you want to try and do as much as possible. So yeah, I just told
In
myself,
the time that you're
relax
on.
and just
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
just play your game really, try and make an impact, try and help the team.
Okay. And then so that was the game against Forest Green, as we said. Would you say that was like one of the best moments of your career, actually getting on and being a part of that?
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Like I say, you got to think for me to get the journey alone to get to Stevenage was just totally out of chance.
Yeah.
So to then come and then get signed into the seniors, all I ever wanted to do was play football professionally.
Hmm.
To wake up, like I said, to wake up and go and play football was a dream come true. So to then get, my shirt, see my
Yeah.
name, I must have been I was only like 17, 18.
Yeah.
Like those
Yeah.
experiences, you never forget them. So, yeah, definitely a moment I'll never forget, 100%.
And you definitely didn't give your shirt away at the end of that season. Now you still got it with you. You still got
Yeah,
it in
still
your.
got it. I've got a couple to. I've got one from the first and second season. So my mum won't. My mum's got them in the loft. Yeah, she won't let me get rid of them.
No, you can't when it's something sort of as memorable as that.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
And then we've got some more stuff on here as well. We spoke about Ronnie as well. We said about that. How pleased were you when you saw that he got rewarded with his testimonial as well? Because obviously he's gone on and done so much for the club.
Yeah, well deserved. I mean, he was always gonna. And this is to go back to the point I was saying to you before. I'm so although I would have loved to maybe have played more and been featured more, to be a part of that squad that was so legendary in the Stevenage history. I can't ask for much more because every single player you knew there had the potential to go on and do great things in the game, and already had done great things for Stevenage. So, for Ronnie to get his testimonials, it just shows that the work he's put in, and how grateful the club is for his services. So well deserved, 100%. I think he'll always be a part of Stevenage.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's still a part of Stevenage now. He's still doing some stuff with the youth team down there now, working under Alex Ravel and Mark Sampson and Lenny Lawrence, who are with the senior side now.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me. Like I say, he's always going to have ties there. I think Stevenage will always be his home.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. And it's not, I've said this on other streams that I've done, I think with Jules and I think Millsy as well, and Johnny Nutter, if Ronnie can go to Luton and come back and still, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, literally. Yeah.
Is obviously held in good regard. So when you left Stevenage, what happened in terms of your career? Obviously, we mentioned about Ed Fleet. You were at Hitchin for a little while, weren't you, as well?
Yeah, so after Stevenage, I went to Maidenhead. I was near the end of my time at Stevenage, I was on loan at Hitchin.
Yeah.
I had a great time there as well, and I got to play because I was playing at the same time and then I was still alongside training with the boys.
Mm-hmm.
So I was getting best of both worlds really, where I could train at a decent level and then still go out and then play out on a Saturday for Hitchin. And then I went to Maidenhead, and then I just fell into non-league, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you kind of mentioned it, to be honest, because it's something that I want to speak about with young players
Yeah.
leaving like professional outfits and then falling into non-league.
Yeah.
I think then it was so difficult because there was less coverage, and there was probably respectively like less quality in those leagues as well.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you jump, I don't know, 10, 15 years forward,
Yeah.
like non-league now isn't what it was. Young players are getting an opportunity. They're getting coverage. People are watching. So if you are in non-league and you feel like you've fallen out, from a professional outfit, like don't get your head down. If your dream is to sort of get back in the league or play at the highest level as you can, like don't give up doing that. Keep doing it. 'Cause I feel like now is the time where if you are in a non-league setup, you are and you're doing well, it's inevitable you're going to get picked up.
Yeah. Even
I
more
think a lot
so.
of
Even more so with the current situation of coronavirus as well. Like,
yeah.
clubs aren't going to go and want to spend loads of money on these big marquee signings when there's somebody from the youth team who they can just promote and give the opportunity to.
That's it exactly. And you just got to use what we're going through now to an advantage if you can.
Yeah.
But the reason I just wanted to speak on that is because I'm sure, as you know, there's loads of stories where you hear of players who sort of fall out of their professional clubs,
Mm.
and they end up in non-league and then they just fizzle out and they sort of lose the motivation for it. They think that's it and it's over. Whereas now if you get into a decent decent non-league side with a decent outfit, more or less you're going to get picked up if you're doing well. So it's
And
good
that's
that it's
right.
changed.
If you look at some of the clubs that are in the lower leagues as well now, like even Stevenage as well in League Two, they've got a relatively young squad for this coming season.
Yeah, and that's it, and that's good. It's good that the youth are getting more of an opportunity now, and I think if you look across the board, like even at the highest level into our national team,
Yeah.
It's very young now, and I feel like it's filtering down the leagues. I think a lot of clubs are starting to take notice and say, okay, we have got talent here. It's not going to hurt giving them a run out now and again, and you'd be
No,
surprised
absolutely.
at what the guys produce. You know what I mean? So it's good to see. It's really good to see.
And then, yeah, like, I said that about Stevenage as well. They've got a young squad. But even in the conference and below, you've got teams like Yeovil now, who,
Yeah.
used to be established Football League teams, and
Hmm.
Scarborough, and who else is there? Wrexham and teams like that.
Yeah. Again, like big clubs. Do you know what I mean? Big league outfits, from in my opinion,
Yeah,
who are in a conference, and you just got to take that and look at it and say, well, because what happens is a lot of these, established clubs over the years, they would have fallen down.
Hmm.
But that doesn't mean they've lost, their size or the status. They've still got it. It's just that, obviously, due to circumstance, sometimes it's financial, sometimes it's not having the right players in at the time. They
Yeah.
found themselves a bit lower than they would want to be. But that's the opportunity then where I believe a club should look around instead of I know you want to get back to where you want to get to,
Hmm.
but a club should I think a club should look around and say, okay, what have we got at the moment? What can we develop that with what we've got? And you'll be surprised that it's there's many cases there where it showed over the years, especially the last 10 years, that I feel like the whole dynamic of non-league football has changed, and it can only grow and get better.
That's right. And Richard here has put a good point in, or a good question in, actually. Do you wish you could be 17 again and have a run in the squad that's at Stevenage now? Because obviously, there's quite a lot of guys who have come up through the youth team who now have a place on the seniors. Arthur Ryanton, Jack Smith being just two to name two there.
Hmm. Yeah, of course. I don't have any regrets. Let me say that. But if I could be 17 and get a run in that Stevenage, 100%, yeah, definitely. Because I feel like the fans is such a family club. You don't feel any pressure there. I believe I never did.
Yeah.
I always felt the fans had my back 100%, and the players, and I'm sure the players will say the same. So it's a club that you want to play for. I believe, 100%.
And yeah, so that's a really good question actually from Richard there. It kind of comes on a little bit to what I was going to ask anyway,
Hmm.
which was this. Well, there we go. Which one was it? It was on the back of this one here. So yeah, what would you say to your younger self if you could go back and give yourself advice on what was to come in your career?
It's a good question. What would I tell myself? Um, Probably to enjoy it more, if I'm honest. Because I think when you're young and you're going for something and then you see it happening, you're so focused on striving for that, you forget the process. You forget to actually enjoy. Don't get me wrong. We had moments where it was enjoyable,
Yeah.
Wembley and obviously being around the boys and so on. But every day, I probably want to take it in a bit more.
Hmm.
I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, I don't really have regrets. You said, I think everything happens for a reason. Like I don't look back and go, oh, Stevenage, because I love my time there.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm still remembered at
I'm,
that
I'm
club
not going to
for a
take
lot
credit for that question because I used it on Darren Stamp's interview the other day, and Christy, that's in the chat there now, she's the one that actually put that question in, and I thought I'd just nick it and use it for everyone.
Yeah, no, fair enough. No, I appreciate that. But yeah, I don't really have any hung-ups. I don't really have any bad blood with the club. I love the club, and like I say, they gave my first opportunity, and the fans were amazing. But if I were to give my 17-year-old some advice now, then
Yeah,
it would be just enjoy it more, and yeah, just enjoy it more, take it in a bit more.
so yeah,
I
that's a
think
good
because
answer
you
as
don't,
well.
yeah, because you don't as well. You don't realize as well. You're in a privileged position at the time.
Yeah.
Like, how many players at that time would have wanted to be in the position I was in? Do you know what I mean? The Sunday League team that I left, that I'm
Hmm.
still in contact with all the boys now.
Yeah.
Like I had to leave. I had to leave them. Like, do you know what I mean? And I didn't want to leave them, but at the end of the day, it was like, okay, this is my dream. I've got to pursue it. Um, So yeah, I would say just take your time and appreciate it a bit more, I think.
And that's kind of true for a lot of things. It's not just football; it's
Mm,
life in general. A lot of the time.
yeah, definitely. And this is what I mean. Like I'm at an age now where I'm able to sort of take a step back through every situation and
Yeah,
assess it as a whole,
yeah, yeah.
um, on a holistic point of view. Do you know what I mean? And more time when you do that, you'll find that a lot of the things that you were stressing about or worrying about at the time, they're not stresses or worries. That you shouldn't be worrying about them. Just take
Mhm.
things in your stride, really, to be honest.
We've got this one here from Richard. His son is a goalkeeper and is 16, with training with a development squad, and he's always telling him to work hard and listen. And yeah, that's obviously a very key point as well. And just make the most of, if he's at Stevenage, obviously he's got Ronnie there and guys like that who have been there and done it.
Yeah, yeah. Again, so the same advice would apply. Just work hard and listen. And it really does sound cliche, but it's not. It's easier said than done. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like to because a lot of players from as young as 16 have ego and pride. So if you can't take criticism on board or you're not willing to listen to the advice that's being given to you from someone who's done it,
Mm.
been there and done it, um, you're going to slow your progression down and you slow your development down. So for me, is a big thing is work harder than anyone if you can. Just always try and push yourself that next limit and just listen to those, who've done it and are in a position where you want to be because they're not going to steer you wrong.
And he just said, yeah, he's playing in his first game on Friday away at Luton. Okay. Good luck with that, and even more good luck the fact it's Luton. So hopefully he can smash them and he can keep a clean sheet. But no, just best of luck anyway with that to him. Yeah, so let's have a look at what we've got on here. So Bradley Johnson was another name that was in the squad as well when Peter Taylor was there. There was quite a few loanees, weren't there? Him and Tommy Smith and stuff as well, who have gone on and moved up,
Hmm.
to the Premier League and Championship and stuff. What were you learning off of those sort of guys? And in particular, the likes of Bradley that did play on the wing or did kind of feature on the wing as well as in the centre and midfield as well.
Sure, yeah. So Bradley came in as a loan from Northampton.
Yeah.
And the first thing I remember about Bradley was just his strength. Like although he was quite young, he was built like a tank. Like he was at that from
Mm.
early on, and he
Yeah.
would in training he would put himself about, like he would put himself about, and he gained the respect of the players like very very quickly. Um, Great player, great energy, great touch, just tenacious, just
I remember
would
his
not stop
debut
running.
when he came in and he made his debut for Stevenage. We were like, I think he was playing centre mid that day,
Yeah,
and we
yeah,
were
that's
like,
it. Yeah,
this guy is the kind of player we've needed for God knows how long.
yeah, it just got loads of energy. And it's funny because after that, I would meet up with Bradley at the summer camps, like
Yeah.
near where we live.
Hmm.
And you just seen him kick on. Like every year he came back, he was just kicking on, kicking on. So again, I've been very fortunate to play with good players, really good players who've gone on and had like amazing careers in football. Do you know what I mean? Like he's had an amazing career. Like he's been at the championship for so long. Like one of the better players in the league. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
surrounded by that and rub shoulders with someone like that every day, you do pick things up off them. Just the professionalism and just like his energy and like his will to win.
Okay. So we spoke about that as well. So what was it like? Mitchell Cole was another one that was around at that time. And of course, Mitchell's now no longer with us. He's obviously passed
Hmm.
away
Yeah, yeah,
in 2011. But what was it like? Obviously, he's another one that was playing out on the wing as well, and you were competing again.
yeah. I mean, rest in peace to Mitchell. And see, I hope his family are doing okay. Um, I remember he came in, Stimo brought him in. We was training and he turned up in his clothes because obviously he wasn't training. I think it was the day he signed, and he
Yeah.
came to watch training. Um, I remember him like giving me a few tips like,
Mhm.
during training. He hadn't even signed yet. Well, I think he signed, but he was like just on the sidelines just watching. And I remember
Yeah.
even then him giving me a few tips on like how to receive the ball, what angle to run at my player and so on. But when he got started, as everyone knows, he just shot off like a lightning bolt. He was so quick. He was rapid. He had a great delivery as well. So effective. And, you know, I think a lot of the players would agree, we probably wouldn't have done what we did that season without him, if I'm being honest. He was a match winner. He created things. You know, it was a big influence in the team.
And he was an excellent player. You know, whether it was scoring goals, creating goals, getting crosses in, whatever it was, he was always one of the kind of main guys you'd look out for. And that's it, really. Like, he was always able to create something or to change the game.
Yeah, that's it. Very influential player. And again, it's you know, it's sad that he's not here with us right now. But you know, he definitely left a legacy, 100%. You know, always hold him in high regard. He taught me a lot.
That's right. Yeah, Richard there was a quality player and a lovely guy, and great goal in the final. Yeah, it was really good goal in the final. That was the one to put it back to 2-1. And of course, without that, we might not have even gone on and won
That's
it, would
what
we?
I mean. That's what I mean. Yeah. So he had so many moments like that as well during the season where we thought we was down and out, and he'd come back and you know we dribble past a few players or slip probably Morrow in, and no, he was the focal point for a lot of things for us.
And of course, he's a great player and a great professional as well. And there was a game against Eastbourne away, sorry. And I think he scored like a 9-minute hat trick, 8 or 9-minute hat trick after coming, into that game. And it was just that's the kind of player that he was. I think we were like 3-0 up at the time anyway, and he just come on and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna just, finish him off now."
Yeah, the game always seemed pretty easy for him. He never seemed to struggle during the game.
No, yeah. So what we got on here? Let's kind of take it back to you a little bit now. So, what would you say your kind of opinions are on the game at the moment, the kind of present day game, and some of the situations that are involved, in football as well. Whether that's the mental health aspects, the Black Lives Matter aspect, anything that's kind of around the game at the moment.
I think the game's in a really good place, if I'm honest. When I look back, sort of 15 years ago to now,
Yeah.
I think there's been a lot of changes. There's still things that need to change, but I think for where we are at the moment in the game, I think it's in a better place. I think the quality in our game is a really high level.
Mm-hmm.
I think the fitness levels are tremendous. I think the structure of clubs now, the media attention the clubs are getting, lower, that's all across the board, lower down as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's good. I think more people are tapping into lower league teams, which is good.
Especially now as well, like, without the fans being able to go and see their own team, they will go and watch a local game.
Yeah, this is it. And it's good for the community. It can only be good for the community because, okay, we all want to go and watch the clubs we support and the big clubs and so on. But it's good to, go down to your local club and actually see what's happening there as well. Because they are putting in, huge efforts to try and establish themselves in the community. So it's good that the community can support them back, I believe. With the state of the game, one of the things that I enjoy seeing now is the young players coming through at a high level.
Yeah.
I've always been an advocate for that. I've believed that, if they're good enough, they should at least get a chance because, more times you'll find out that they'll actually help the team.
Yeah, well, it's happened. Sorry, mate. It happens a lot.
Yeah.
Man United, Mason Greenwood, Arsenal, Bukayo Saka. There's two names there straight away.
Exactly. That's just to name a few.
Yeah.
And I think if you look at such a high level, when you look at these players, that for them to come in with the energy and to actually influence, massive clubs, there's no secret to it. Just give the boys a chance. But like I say, it's good to see now because I believe that it's happening a lot more now. And long may it continue. And obviously, if we can do it at the highest level of the game, and it can trickle down, and even better. To go on to your point there about obviously the Black Lives Matter situation, it's the awareness is good, but as long as it's not, you know, here for now and gone tomorrow, I think you know, as humans we need to really like look at ourselves and understand, like, you know, where the situation is coming from, and just try and educate. Just try and educate. You know, it should all be a level playing field at the end of the day. And in football, I would love to see more, you know, black managers, black coaches, which I feel like we are seeing now. But I feel until, not just on the playing field, until we can see the diversity in management, chief execs, and higher, you know, then only we can say, okay, you know, this is real change. Don't get me wrong, there's been changes, but I feel until we start, you know, seeing these people in these positions of power, so to say. When I say power, I mean when I say power, I mean even down to, you know, picking a team, having the freedom of selecting the team that they want, you know, and not being told by someone else, so to speak. And until that happens, then I think, you know, we still got a lot of work to do.
And I think that's kind of, you know, you can name on probably one hand the amount of successful black managers there's been at the kind of higher level in the English game. The one that stands out for me is the guy that used to manage Fulham. Was it John Tigana? Yeah.
So
other than that, there wasn't, you know, there's not too many others that have been able to, you know, go even from playing, and, you know, they've been really top quality players, but for whatever reason, when they try and get the name into the managerial shortlist, then just overlooked and not picked.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in those rooms, so I'm not the one making the decision, obviously, so I can't tell you what the dominant answer is. However, you know, if you look at the stats, there's not a lot of black men in or women in those positions, so you can only go off the stats. And if that is the reason, you know, let's fix that. Let's find out why, you know, that's not happening. You know, whether it's, you know, systematic or another reason, but whatever it is, let's try and crack down, because, you know, who's to say a black manager couldn't do as good a job as a white manager with the same pedigree, respectively? Do you know what I'm trying to say? So
absolutely.
you know, and like I say, until we can get there and we can see there is a holistic, diverse across all boards, then we've got a lot of work to do. But you know, I do want to mention as well, so you've got like Jimmy van Hasselbank, you know, Darren Moore, who've got into the game and done relatively well. Darren Powell, you know, so
Chris Powell as well.
Sorry, Chris Powell. Apologies. Yeah. So
that's
you know,
right.
So you know, these figures have gone in there and they've done good jobs. You know, they've made good names for themselves at that level. So, you know, all we can hope for is we continue to push on and sort of you know, fight for that holistic, you know, diverse. So
yeah, of course, you know, there's 4 or 5 names there that you mentioned, but then you can look on the spectrum as well, and you can see the likes of Sol Campbell, even Dino as well, who was down here at Stevenage and at Oldham. That's another one who, of course, you know, is Tunisian and from an ethnic kind of minority background. And
great guy, by the way, great guy. Yeah.
And of course, you know, he was given a bit of an opportunity at Stevenage. And you know, the start of last season, he was there probably 6-8 weeks, and then for, you know, whatever reason, it just didn't work out for him, and they moved it on. So
I mean, and again, you know, all we can hope for is that, you know, until we see that diverse, you know, we have to keep pushing on, because you know, and that's the goal for me, you know. I think, because it's tough when you've got, let's say, managers always have their own ideas. I think the more diversity we have, I think, you know, for the clubs, you know, for players, if everyone's pulling in the same direction, it can only be good like moving forward, to achieve, whatever they want to achieve at the club. Because sometimes, especially young players, they need people they can relate to.
Mm. Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
understand what I mean? And I feel like if you can relate to, if you can walk into an establishment and relate, to your manager, you're only going to kick off a good relationship. And more time than not, that good relationship, it shows on the pitch.
It's kind of like that, isn't it, as well? Like,
yeah, definitely,
for
100%.
for black players coming through, you do kind of, black players do tend to kind of look up to the likes of, Patrick Vieira more than maybe a Tony Adams or or a Sol Campbell rather than Dennis Bergkamp or something. You know what I mean?
It's a good point. And it just comes down to being able to relate to that person. Different backgrounds. You're naturally, as a human being, you're going to relate to the person, that is probably from your background.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, sorry. And if you can take that into a professional environment and that manager know where that player's come from, again, you're more than likely going to get the best out of the player. And that's not to say, a white manager wouldn't get the best out of a black player, because that's happened across the board over history.
Mm-hmm.
But it would just be good to have more black managers around, or more black people or people of ethnic minorities around the clubs, so that, because these players that are coming in. Okay, I'll give you an example. If you look at the England schoolboys, they're predominantly black.
Yeah.
Okay, so if those players were to go into a professional establishment and see men around who look like them, or have come from the same background as them, white or black, like Asian, whatever, they come from the same background as them, those young players are more likely to relate to that person.
Yeah, 100%.
But that's not to just say, oh, because this person's from a certain background, we should give them obviously they need to be good at their job. I'm not saying, just give them a job. And I don't think anyone's asking for someone to just get a job just because, they're from an ethnic minority. It's
not that. It's Richard said it here. He summed it up there. It's about the quality of work, not anything else.
That's it. Yeah. And I feel like, there is many names around in the game who do have that qualification, who do have the pedigree, who do have the hunger to do well, and try and change the dynamic of the game. And those people should be given a chance.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that, to be honest. I think it's it's good that it's starting, and it's
it is starting. And that's it there. Sorry to stop you, but yeah, it is, and I'm seeing it, so it's good. It's good.
And there's obviously that in place, and it's just about keeping that going and progressing it, and just for everybody to learn and to just kind of just be able to just kind of learn as they go.
Mike, to be honest with you, I just think it's all about having fresh ideas as well. Like, you asked me the question about where do I see the state of the game at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's come so far that football's even different now. You've got different formations. You've got different styles of play.
Yeah.
More or less, everyone's trying to play the same brand of football. There's not many clubs out there now who are old school and just want to be direct and go route one, or there's so many ideas and interventions coming into their game now that you're going to need fresh ideas, because the people that you've got in the game at the moment are from 15 years ago. So if they can't adapt, something needs to change. And if you look at the clubs who have made the change, you look in Germany, the national team, even up to women's football. You look at like these managerial figures who have come into those leagues and put fresh ideas on the game. Look how their teams are performing. They're blowing teams away. So I think it's all about having fresh ideas.
I think that's right as well. Yeah,
to match the dynamic.
The dynamic, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, to match the dynamic, yeah.
Yeah. Whether that's the men's or the women's, or international, Premier League, all the way down to conference, whatever division that it's in, it's got to start somewhere and then just kind of go through and kind of just filter down, isn't it, or whatever. 100%. So, and of course, that's the way it's going to work. If it starts at the top, then people will see that a lot more. With it going out on TV and across all platforms like that, then it will filter down into the lower divisions, because it will just they'll just be like, well, this is the norm for them, so it's going to be the norm for us as well.
Exactly. It starts at the top, 100%.
So how do you look back on your time at the club as well, at Stevenage? We'll kind of wrap it up shortly, because we have been going for about an hour as well. But
yeah, no worries.
How would you look back on your time there? When you look back on it, do you look back on it fondly? And what would you say to young guys getting involved? And maybe they're just about where you were at 15, 16, on the verge of getting into the youth setup at Stevenage or at any club.
Yeah, great question. So when I look back on my time, I do have fond memories. I'm not a man who lives in regret. I don't have any regrets. I wish situations could have gone in my favor a bit more. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
But again, I think at the time, and even now, I understand where the club was going and what the situation was at that time. But yeah, I would have loved more time. Of course, I would have. My advice for young players today. I mean, it's funny. My little brother's actually in the academy and moving into professional game himself now. At a club and at a professional club, and it's amazing to see him, because the way football is now and the way it's set up now and how so far it's come, 15 years later, to see him now in that same setup that I was, and see him strive and progress on. I know that the game's changing, and I know that there's more quality in the game now. What I would say for young players is again, it's the cliche. If you have to work hard. It's the bits that people don't see.
Yeah.
It's not when you're at training, that's all well and good, great, but it's when no one's around. What are you doing to get that extra edge? What are you doing to make sure that your mind is so sharp? Because you can keep your body in check, but if you can keep your mind in check as well, in sync with your body, then you're unstoppable. So I'd say, like, just do extras, do things that not other players are doing, and it's all about what you're doing behind the scenes. For me personally, I mean, that would be my advice. Enjoy every moment. Be smart financially if you can. Get advice financially. I'd say, I think that's a big one.
What, from you or from anyone?
No, not from me. No, not from me. Not from me. And if we cross paths, we cross paths. But no, in all seriousness, it's. I don't think it gets talked about a lot, or as much as it should do. Try and get some advice from someone you trust, someone who's been there and done it. Look after that side of the game 100%. Look after your body, eat right. Study the game as well, I'd say. Don't take for granted that just because you're a good player and you're talented, that things are going to fall in your lap. Even if you are working hard, I think studying the game and studying players who play in your position, lose the pride and ego. Because when you study the game and you become and you continue to be a student, you'll learn quicker rather than thinking that you know it all. Again, I know that probably sounds cliche, but you can remove the pride and ego and be willing to listen and be willing to go in there every day as a student and remain a student, and you're only going to progress. So that's what I was saying. Just enjoy it.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer really as well, because you mentioned it there, even in regards to your younger brother as well coming through into the club. So can you sort of say anything much about where he's at, what club he's at, or kind of what?
Not just yet.
Just signed for someone, is he, or something? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it's in the process of getting that done. So, and it's a proud moment for the family, because see, I've done it, got to a certain point, and that it's like kind of he's like now just going the full way.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful to see, and obviously he would always come to me and for advice, and obviously we have friends in the game and so on who we can get advice from, and that's why I say, to any young player out there who's obviously just starting out in the game, it's all about removing the pride and the ego and ask questions, because you don't know it all yet.
No, that's right. You're gonna
ask questions.
Yeah. So we're gonna start to wrap it up actually in a second.
Yeah, no problem.
Want to have a little look over and see if there's anything I've covered not covered that I wanted to cover. So you mentioned previously about the the kind of bond between clubs and the community. Did you sort of see much in regards to Stevenage and what they've done during the lockdown, and getting people out there and just kind of supporting the people that needed it the most?
To be honest, I haven't. No, I haven't been keeping any tabs on what they've been doing. But what I will say is that from my time there, it doesn't surprise me that they are doing that, because we was very heavily. I mean, I've got friends for life in Stevenage. Friends through fans, just through living in this in the city. So, and I can say, from my time there, they was heavily involved with the community. Like, we was at the hospitals, we was at schools.
Yeah, absolutely.
They never seemed anything to do with the area or the place of Stevenage, but we were involved. So that's something I can say, and obviously vouch for them on.
And then Richard, will we see you down at the Lamex at any point?
If I'm invited. No. I mean, yeah, sure. No, I mean, if I've got some time, to come watch a game, yeah, 100%. That'd be great. That'd be amazing. I'm sure if I was to go through the structure and see the personnel, there'd probably be a few people I know, so it'd be good to catch up with them.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll still be a few people there from back then.
Yeah.
The Ron's there. I don't know who else was involved in those squads and stuff, but Phil Wallace is still there as chairman and things like that. So there's plenty of names, and Clive the Clive Avery still there. Does some stuff on match day and all that still. So a lot of it's from the top. A lot of it's still the same. Yes, it's changed on the pitch and the managerial side, but not too much has changed elsewhere.
Well, that's good to know. There's some good people at the club. So yeah, I'm sure if I get myself back down there, I'll definitely have a drink and say hello with the guys.
And then Richard, wish all the best for your younger brother.
Thank you.
It just says you are. You're invited whenever you want to come. When we're allowed back in grounds.
Yeah, 100%.
So the last kind of question, really, let's have a look. So I think I've done all of the stuff that was on there. I think I made one extra note on my phone.
Okay.
And I just want to make sure it's something that I've covered as well already. And then that will be it. So just give me 1 second. We've kind of covered that. Anyway, in regards to your time at the club and everything, really, it seems like we've covered everything I wanted to. Yeah.
Awesome.
So thanks very much for your time.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. And of course, you didn't feature too much for the club. You made a couple of appearances, and they all of them were off the bench. But whether whether you've made 3 appearances or 500 and whatever many appearances that Ronnie's made, that's what I wanted to put out there as well. That anyone that wanted to come onto this little chat and podcast type thing, everyone's welcome. Whether you played, just a couple of appearances or you've gone on and you played loads.
Yeah, sure. I mean, again, it's a pleasure sort of coming on, really, and sort of discussing my time. It's quite a unique story, really. Just because of, like I say, how it all went. And obviously for a few of the boys in my situation back then as well, who wasn't, able to come through with me. So I'm proud, and I'm happy with my achievements at the club.
All right, and of course you've still got that FA trophy as well, and no one's going to take that away from you. You didn't feature in the game itself, but you were still a big part of that. So no one can take that away. And you said on stream earlier that you've still got all your shirts and all that up in the loft and that. So just all great sort of memorabilia of your time at the club, and that's it really. It's always great to keep hold of that stuff.
Yeah, definitely good memories, and you can share it and pass it down.
Okay, just one final thing actually. Would you say anything to Stevenage fans at the moment? Obviously they got we've got the reprieve going into the Football League, and we've had the first game of the season drawing 1-1 at the weekend against Barrow. And what would you sort of say to Stevenage fans for this season on what's kind of realistically what want to expect without kind of pushing it above the above the board and just thinking, yeah, we're going to win the league, because that's Stevenage fans, that's football fans, and everyone can be a little bit fickle at times. But what would you say realistically for them? And of course, last season was a big struggle, and having 4 managers and 3 wins is very rare.
Yeah. If I'm being totally honest, I did hear about that situation. I didn't really fully understand it. So was we meant to get relegated and then we didn't?
Yeah, so we were rock bottom of the table, and then Macclesfield had been deducted points multiple times previously in the season. And then the last time they got deducted, I think it was 2 points, which meant that they would have stayed up by just a few points extra, 3 points extra, I think it was. And then the EFL appealed that, won the appeal, and then we overtook them and stayed up.
Wow. So, yeah, I mean, if I was to speak to the fans, then I would just say appreciate where you are and how it's gone, and just stay optimistic, stay behind the lads. When you can do, when you're allowed back in, turn out in your numbers, make all the noise that we all know you can make, and just keep supporting like you always have been, really. But stay optimistic. Try to keep the feeling around the ground high, and with good energy and positive energy, because the players can only feed off that and do better.
That's right. And I've got one of the current guys coming on actually for a little bit of a different style chat in regards to why he decided to join up with the club, and what Alex said to him and things like that in the next few days, and kind of his own sort of personal aims for the season as well as for the club as well. So that's Inni Effiong, who was at Dover and stuff as well. He signed for the club in the summer, so we'll hopefully get him on before the end of this week, so people can hear a different sort of side of things as well in that aspect.
Yeah, 100%. He'll have obviously a whole different dynamic on the club, so it'd be good to hear his story. I'm really looking forward to that.
All right, so yeah, like I said, just before, really, thanks for your time, and
no problem, pleasure.
I won't keep you any longer.
You're all right.
I'll let you go, mate. All right, cheers for that.
All right, then we'll catch up soon.
Cheers, bud. Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Take care.
Yeah, you too, mate. Bye now.
All right, bye.